They actually, all of our pieces come with a warning label, and it says like, careful, you might never wear anything else. Handed them over and I was like, I want to make this t-shirt into this pair of pants, and he just looked at me like I had 12 heads. Essentially, your skin is your biggest organ, and what you wear against it all day does matter.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's my favourite.
It's my favourite app.
It's the experience of wearing the Not Basics that makes it not basic.
Hi everyone, I'm Montana, the founder of SwapNation, and today I'm here with Amanda from Not Basics, and we're going to chop it up. What were you doing before Not Basics?
I started Not Basics 5 years ago. Before that, I freelanced in social media marketing. So I always say I've never really had a proper job, because after leaving uni, did some internships in social media and things like that. And then quite quickly realised that working in a corporate job wasn't for me. My dream was to move to London. So I was applying for jobs there and then ended up freelancing when I was about 22. I've not had a job since. So yeah, I was social media freelancing. I ended up hiring other freelancers to work with me. So I kind of started my own little agency, and I worked predominantly with female-led brands that were at the very early startup stage. And I got a real itch to be able to do the same thing and start a brand rather than, I guess, do social media for other people's brands. So I think I always had quite like an entrepreneurial spirit. I think when I was about 12 years old, got all of my teddies and made a zoo in my garden and then charged neighbours to come to it. So yeah, I think I always just desperately wanted to have my own thing, maybe not a zoo. It feels like a zoo sometimes. But yeah.
Amazing. So where did the idea of Not Basics come from?
So we originally launched the brand 5 years ago under a different name. So we were Panty, and we were a waste innovation brand, and we were transforming deadstock t-shirts into underwear. And really that initial idea kind of was a project for us. I contacted my sister. I'd had this idea turning tees into pants, hence the name Panty. For the first probably 18 months to 2 years, we were exclusively underwear. We started to get a lot of requests from customers for other uncomfortable day-to-day basics, like bodysuits was one that we'd get a lot of requests for. Tank tops, white ones that weren't sheer and see-through was another. So we started to branch out into basics, and we always called them Not Basics because they were basics that were anything but. And then eventually we just felt that we sort of outgrew the name. Everyone, when they heard Panty, thought underwear, and I think 90% of what we were selling was clothing, not underwear. But really beyond the logo, it was a bit of a mission change, because I think people still identified us with our very original mission, which was to transform dead stock waste into underwear. And we did do it with bodysuits and things like that for a while. We started to get more focus on skin friendly clothing. So my sister suffers from really bad allergies on her skin. A lot of it sometimes is like synthetic fabrics, and she's had some nasty ones from shoes. And I think unlike beauty products, fashion, it doesn't come with a list of ingredients. So it's really hard to understand what is irritating. I actually have ADHD, diagnosed when I was 8 years old, and I suffer from sensory sensitivity. So I really know what it's like to be uncomfortable in your clothes, and it can make or break your day, really. I think with our unique set of needs, we were very much like took the brand down a slightly different route, and we changed our mission as well, because I think you see a lot of rebrands. There's been some notable ones in the last year or so where the fast fashion brand comes back and it's a logo change and the vibes change. It maybe looks a bit more elevated, but are the clothes different, and what's the mission? Has that been upgraded as well? So for us, I think it was more than just a makeover. It was a real mission change, and we really lent into what our customers were saying as well.
Was there a moment when you thought this is turning into something bigger than you expected?
I've always had a real big ambition to grow the brand, and I think I've maybe been more caught in a cycle of thinking it's not big enough. So I've never felt like, wow, this has really grown legs and maybe I should do something with it, because that's always been what I've been working towards. And my sister and I, the way that we work, I do think we've always worked like we're a much bigger brand, and we have the strategies and we work our asses off to get to where we want to be at the end of every quarter. We did actually raise investment back in 2021, so we have to report back to our investors quarterly. So we've always had quite a serious approach.
So storytelling seems to be a big part of your brand. How do you take that and make that a part of how you deliver your clothes?
Fashion is such an oversaturated space. I think it is really hard to cut through on kind of aesthetic and vibe alone. One of the things that's worked really well for us is this almost like villain underdog marketing, where you very clearly have a problem, ours being fast fashion basics, and the solution being the notable, visible differences of how our basics are better. So some of the things that work really well for us is literally demonstrating that. So showing equivalence to our product, pinpointing all the ways that we're better, But I think really understanding what those issues are that people face, I think that relatability in content, no matter what medium or form you're doing, is so powerful. We spend a lot of time talking to customers, and I do sometimes think the most powerful marketing is in your reviews. And if you really listen to the way that customers talk about your product, you've got your marketing there. So I think it can be really hard in the early days to figure out how you should market and how you tell your story. And I think actually it will start to all make sense once you put your brand out there. I didn't love university, but there's a quote I come back to from a lecturer, and I was doing creative writing, and he said, whenever you create a piece of art and you put it out there, whether it's a song or a poem or literally a painting, or in this case a brand, as soon as you put it out into the world, it's no longer yours and it's anyone else who's interpreting it. And I actually think there's a beauty in that with brands, because we know, well, you think you know as a brand owner, like what you want people to perceive your brand to be and how you want them to use them. But sometimes they use things differently, and the way that it slots into their life is perhaps different to what you initially envisioned. So it's really important to kind of keep that as a communication between you and customer. And I always say you've got to kind of sit next to them at the table rather than opposite them, make them the friends of the brand and keep the conversation open.
And so how do you find that? Do you find that what you thought people would envision it as has turned out to be what it actually is? Or do you find that it's actually a little bit different? You've needed to pivot at all?
The pivot definitely came from Panty to Not Basics. And I think that we didn't get there fully by ourselves. Like that was very much like we followed and were nudged along by our customers from what they were buying, from what they were saying. Customer feedback is great, no matter whether it's good, bad, or constructive. But the reviews that I always love to see is when people have skin sensitivities or even sensory sensitivities, people who are maybe on the ASD spectrum, they are like, I can't wear anything else. I know what it's like to be uncomfortable when I have really bad eczema or I've got sensory sensitivity and I cannot wear anything else now. I've never been so comfortable in my life, because I feel like comfort is such a buzzword in fashion, but there's a whole new meaning to being comfortable when you suffer from something like that. I always love those reviews the most, and I think pay close attention to how we continue to make our products great for the people who have necessity for something rather than just a nice to have.
So how do you find that? Because I don't think skin sensitivity is spoken about enough when it comes to clothing. So what does that feel like against your skin? What's happening?
Yeah.
Can you explain that and like how you kind of have solved that issue?
Sure. I think it's 60% of clothing now is made from polyester, nylon, synthetic fabrics, essentially. And a lot of those are plastic based and are filled often with high chemicals. Essentially, your skin is your biggest organ, and what you wear against it all day does matter. When my sister was experiencing these rashes, her skin, you can almost see it bubble. Like it's a very raised, angry kind of rash. So there is kind of no ignoring that it's angry, it's irritated. At the panel talk last week, a couple of people come up to me afterwards and say they really suffer from eczema. They can't really wear activewear leggings, especially for long periods of time. They find their skin can get really itchy and just a bit angry, I guess. When it comes to underwear, it is probably better to wear something that's breathable, allows your skin to breathe. And polyester fabrics, they don't allow your skin to breathe. They can trap odor. It's just not great for all day wear. We're designed for a reason. So maybe wear a raincoat to stop you from getting wet. But for all day wear, and when something's close against your skin, I would personally always opt for a natural fiber like organic cotton. So we use organic cotton. So top, for example, that I'm wearing today, all of our close to skin, not basics, are like 95% organic cotton, 5% elastane for stretch and recovery. So you kind of still get that form, fitting, feel much more breathable.
And can you talk a little bit about, because you said you had ASD and sensitivity to...
So I was diagnosed with ADHD. It was actually known back then as ADD, but now it's all under the same. So I don't identify as having the hyperactive side, but attention deficit disorder is what I was diagnosed with. I think with my attention span being short, clothes could really, like if I'm uncomfortable in something, I just can't work as efficiently as perhaps I could. And I've definitely had situations, especially on the time of the month, where I maybe come into London for a work day wearing something way too tight, jeans I can't sit down in because my stomach's swollen and I'm a bit bloated, and I'm like, I have to go home, I have to change, I have to get out of the clothes. I think I've made the situation way worse because now all I wear is not basics. When I put anything else on now, I'm like, oh my God, I need to be back in my sweatsuit. I can only talk on my experience, but there's other things like seams and labels. I hate an itchy, scratchy label. There is no solution because even if you cut them out, it's still there. And then the same with seams sometimes, and jeans are my nemesis as well. Like I always wear like really oversized jeans because I just find them so uncomfortable. All of our clothes are designed to not have itchy, scratchy labels. So something like this that I'm wearing, they're printed on with a heat seal print. And if it's something like a sweatsuit, they're made from the offcuts. When I requested that from our factory, they were like, no one's ever asked to do this before. I was like, but it makes sense because it's also our offcut waist. So
Absolutely.
we just put that in on flat seam. You just can't feel it because it's the same fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So clever. How would you describe the Not Basics vibe in 3 words?
Energetic, real, empowering, and if I can do 4, a bit silly.
Why would you say silly?
I think there's a lot of sustainable brands where they can
They're
be
quite
quite serious.
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
My sister and I feel like we're quite unserious in moments. Like we love a bit of banter. Our parents are both quite quick-witted, so I feel like we're always cracking jokes and we lead with that. We want to be relatable. Life isn't fun at the moment sometimes. I think it's like you go online and we're seeing some terrible things all the time across social media. And I think that sustainability is really scary. Like what's going on in the world is really scary. So I think we have always very much we've got our mission, we've got our values, and we do believe them, but we don't want to kind of force it down people.
Yes,
We want people to kind of try it. And once they do, we know, because we've got a really high return customer rate, that they're going to buy into the brand once they've experienced it. So I think for us, it's like we still want to maintain that energy and fun. And like if we were to have an event, it would be everyone would be laughing, everyone would be having a good time. So less about the serious side, which of course there is, but it's not how we always show up.
What makes something feel not basics to you?
Something that's visibly better, I think. I really feel like the best way whenever we're trying to explain not basics to someone or investor or journalist, we're always like, let's send you something. Because once you can put it on, you'll know what we mean. And I think that you can see a not basic once they're on in the way that they fit. We spent a lot of time perfecting how things fit, whether it's how the sleeves wrap around your arms in a comfortable way and don't create too much ruching or whatever. It's the experience of wearing the not basics that makes it not basic, I think, above all else.
How would you describe your own personal style outside the brand?
Katie and I my sister and co-founder, will always say that we didn't start a fashion brand because we love fashion, but because we hated most clothes. I feel like I'm very much on my journey. Honestly, I work from my kitchen table at home most of the time. I don't have a glamorous founder life at all. And I am almost always wearing one of our sweatsuits. I think I forget if I have a style at all throughout the week. So it's always nice to have opportunities like this to leave the house. And then autumn, easy, oversized blazer, oversized jeans, not basic staple. Summer freaks me out a little bit more because I never know what to wear. I think just something that's probably quite minimal, comfortable for sure. I think I don't have tons of clothes, so I think I have almost like a bit of a capsule wardrobe going. And my favourite thing to do actually is I don't shop much at all anymore. And I did, especially when I was at uni and in my early 20s, I loved going and shopping. But I think because I didn't know how to wear things, so you fall into trends more. Where now my favourite thing to do is I'll open Pinterest and I'll be like, oversized black t-shirt.
I love Pinterest. I'm obsessed.
It's my favourite.
It's my favourite app.
It's so addictive. And I'll do like oversized black t-shirt and I'll see all these outfits. And for sure, I don't own everything that you see, but you can see ways that you can utilise your own wardrobe. And I hardly buy anything anymore. I maybe buy like a couple of pieces each season to feed in, but then I can kind of buy better because I'm not buying large quantities of new clothes. And I love experimenting with renting. I was at a wedding on Sunday and I rented from her this time, but I rent from both By Rotation and her.
So do I, absolutely. Yeah, they're brilliant.
And I love it. And I feel like when you rent, you can see the value like of a good dress.
Absolutely.
And just the fit, the construction, everything. I think I've definitely become more of a clothes snob since working in fashion, because before that I had no idea. I'd never worked in fashion before. I had no idea how clothes were made. I always tell a really funny story where when I'd first come up with the concept for Panty, I was like, right, well, I need to get a sample of like a pant made from t-shirts. And I'd been watching all these YouTube videos of women making pants out of t-shirts. Sometimes dry cleaners do, like they take up the trouser legs and things. So it's like, oh, well, they kind of adjust and make clothes. So this is sort of adjusting something. So I went in when I was up in North Yorkshire visiting my mum to the local dry cleaners. And this guy, I was like, this is a t-shirt. And I just had like an old t-shirt that I had and my favourite pair of pants, because that's what the YouTube video said to do, to base it on your favourite pair of pants. So they were clean, but I definitely worn them before. Handed them over and I was like, I want to make this t-shirt into this pair of pants. And he just looked at me like I had 12 heads. I think told me it would take him 3 weeks and would cost about £60. So I was thinking, maths isn't my strong point, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. But yeah, that was literally how I thought clothes maybe got made. So I've learned a lot.
What drew you to the fabric that you use?
We started the brand using deadstock t-shirts. We wanted to work with cotton. We were doing underwear, and our mum has always, from a young age, distilled in us that we need to wear cotton underwear.
My mum
So
too,
I've not
yeah.
worn anything other than that, and I wouldn't. I probably try.
Shout out to the mums.
Yeah, I know they do always know best, annoyingly.
They do.
So cotton was always the fabric for us, really. And then we started doing basics from cotton, and people love them. Actually, we have a lot of people who say, like, I'm so happy to have found cotton basics. It's all I really want to wear against my skin. So we've not really looked back. It's not to say that in the future we wouldn't look at other natural fibers and materials that we could use, but at the moment our real focus is cotton. Katie and I both personally love it and get on really well with the fabric, and we've got really great reviews from customers.
How do you keep your sourcing and production sustainable?
We actually moved all of our manufacturing last year from Bangladesh to Turkey. Firstly, you've got to not work with anyone who doesn't meet the standards that you require. So there's a list of certifications that we would want a factory to have. Off the top of my head, there's things like the SEDEX certification, and then there's more things like GOTS or OCS, which is going to certify the fabrics that you use. GOTS is actually very thorough, so it will look at the ethics of the factory as well. It's very important to really understand which certifications you feel you need or should have. So that's the first step whenever speaking to a factory, is to make sure that they have those certifications. And then having a good relationship with your factory is super important. Katie and I, in a year, we've gone out twice to see the factory, visit the production lines. We also went to the dye house and the spinning mill. So we saw, apart from the cotton being grown, every step in our production line, which is very insightful because it's insane how many steps it goes through. One of the things we've done from very early on in starting the brand is we've had the kind of list from B Corp of the things that they want to see. We don't have the B Corp certification, but it's a really good framework. In our tech packs, when we send everything over, we have a list of like brand commandments in there as well. So whenever they're running production,
They know.
it's super clear.
Yeah.
Like, we do not do these things. If any of these are a question, contact us, speak to us, let's clear things up. At the end of the day, our clothes are handmade. They're being made by real people, and things can get forgotten. And it's not always a cut in corners situation, but mistakes happen. I think just being very, very clear on what it is that you stand for and making sure that you're always achieving that.
Do you have a favourite piece or drop that you've done so far?
It's like choosing between your children, I think.
You might say that.
Yeah. Well, what piece do I wear the most? At the moment, our quarter zip. I wear our sweatsuits genuinely every day. They actually, all of our pieces come with a warning label, and it says, like, careful, you might never wear anything else. And it's true. We brought out wrap leggings as well this year. So they've kind of got the cross front, and I love those. Those are now my go-to for when I wear leggings. But yeah, I feel like I just rotate. I get the luxury of being able to wear a lot of the styles. I get told off by my sister all the time because she always spots when I'm wearing samples that I shouldn't be.
Perks of the job.
Perks of the job, exactly.
What's one part of this that people don't see?
Oh, probably quite a lot. We try to share a lot of behind the scenes, but I feel like we do it maybe sometimes in more of a millennial way, where we do a blog post. We'll show up with our faces in ads and things, but we don't really have a lot going on in kind of like TikTok or Instagram of consistent behind the scenes. So there's probably so much that people don't see and we don't share. I think it's sometimes something I really struggle with. Like, I've always wanted to share more, but I feel like I am just sat in my sweatsuit at home on my laptop every day. And my sister, co-founder, she lives in Vancouver, so we actually work across an 8-hour time difference. So we're not really together to create content, and when we are, we're looking at each other through a screen and then recording on a screen. So it's like how to tell that story around what you're doing. I do struggle with sometimes. But yeah, I think there's good days, bad days, complicated days, sometimes boring days. I think it's like anything. I love it. So I wake up and I'm happy and grateful to get to do it every day.
What's been the hardest part of building Not Basic so far, and what have you learned from it?
I think the hardest thing for me definitely has felt like sometimes things are going too slowly. I wish I could have shaken myself in moments and been like, you don't know what you're doing right now. Like, the building blocks you're putting down, it might feel boring, it might feel slow. Compounding growth is such a real thing, and it really sets you up to grow quicker at some point. Everyone says don't look sideways, don't look at what other people are doing. And I think it's really hard, especially on the online world. And naturally, you do end up having a bit of a scroll and thinking, oh, I feel like I'm going too slow. And I definitely have had to try to compartmentalize that a little bit and focus on us and our story and our journey. We're just doing this for the first time. I've also have a habit of being super introverted. So I think because I work alone and my sister's in Vancouver, especially since I moved out of London 3 years ago, I haven't done anything like this. And I was on panel last week and haven't done anything like that either. That was terrifying.
Oh, wonderful.
So I've been trying to say yes more. And I was so good at that at the very beginning when we launched Panty. I'm feeling more confident to do it now. And I think a lot of that is because I know what our story is really clearly, like I did at the beginning with Panty. There was somewhere along the way where I did lose my confidence a little bit and I lost the identity when we were going through the rebrand. And even when you launch and you're something new, it can take you a while to find your feet. And I think actually, especially since May of this year, we started to gain a bit more traction and get a lot more customer feedback and see the connection with Not Basics. And I think that's given me loads more confidence because I can see it's bubbling. And it's felt really exciting. It's reminded me of the early days. And I think being maybe a bit of like an entrepreneur at heart and love building things, I enjoy the building part. So the day to day can swallow you a little bit. So it's finding that balance of, obviously when I'm doing things like this, I'm not my laptop working. And I think as a business owner, you feel like that's what you should be doing all the time. It's really hard to get away from your laptop. My husband runs a business and I always say we're a beautiful family of four whenever we go on holiday because it's just us and our laptops. Balance. It's good to get out and say yes to things and get in front of people.
What happened in May, do you think, as to why things suddenly started to pick up and the traction was there more?
We're trialing some new messaging and we had been working on this since the rebrand, but I feel like the rebrand launched in stages. We were only really at that point a 2-person team. So there was just so much to do. Rebrand, we moved our manufacturing, we actually changed warehouses as well. When we think about it, it's like the rebrand, we rebuilt the business.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's a brand
say
business.
rebrand, but actually,
So I think we were getting to the point where we were through the logistics of it and we were really getting back into the swing of our marketing. And we set up a couple of different adverts on Meta Ads and we were telling our story essentially. Like 6 months ago, we launched a clean fashion brand, Not Basics, and one would be from my sister's perspective, one would be from my perspective. And it just really did well. We saw a lot of sales coming through the ad. We started to gain a lot more followers and we've slowly tried to kind of iterate on that and repeat the messaging. And I just feel like it's just clicked and people get it. I mean, it's amazing. I, as a marketer, that's like what you dream of every day, is just to find that click where customers are like, I completely understand what you're about. I get it.
So obviously you've co-founded with your sister. What's it like managing family and business?
Honestly, I've had such a great experience. Couldn't recommend it more. So many people say, oh my God, running a business with your sister, how do you do it? Sometimes I do probably think, how does she do it? And running a business with me. I mean, I do joke, we have an ocean between us. We have limited time to have a scrap about certain things. But I think more than anything, we have very clear roles within the business and just that we've naturally fallen into. Whenever we're explaining how we work, we always say if it's in a spreadsheet, it's Katie's role. And if it's in a Canva doc, it's probably me that's working on it. We come at things differently, but we really need each other. So
it sounds like it, yeah. Different skill sets.
I don't think I would be here today if it wasn't for her. I know she does say the same thing about me, even though she's not here. She promises she needs me. We're kind of like a dynamic duo and we make it work and we really trust each other. We do a good job at maintaining the sister side of our relationship as well. We don't see each other an awful lot, but we try to see each other now. The business is demanding more from us once every quarter. I will go to Vancouver twice a year for a couple of weeks at a time, which is intense. Like I go and literally stay in her apartment. Her boyfriend is very tolerant. And then in the same way, she will come. And it's a bit different when Katie comes to the UK to see family, see friends. So we definitely get more work time when I go out there. It's nice to get to work together in person. And I feel like it really sets us up for the quarter. In that way, it's like we don't have all the time in the world to set the strategy. We've only got limited time together. So we always try and make it count.
What's one thing that you haven't experimented with yet that you'd love to for Not Basics?
We've never done any pop-ups or anything live, and I would love to start to do in-person events and things like that. I see a lot of brands doing some really cool things, and I would definitely love to join in. That's something that I think in 2026 we'll definitely be looking at. So if anyone has any ideas of what we could do,
contact. Obviously, you're a founder of this amazing business. Like, how do you relax? When do you relax?
So I live in the countryside. Honestly, I just love to get out on a country walk, not a run, not a bike ride, a walk. I'm very specific about that because my husband's always like, let's go on a bike ride. I'm like, no. He cycles way too fast. And I'm like, if I wanted to work out alone, I would have done a HIIT class. So yeah, a nice country walk, stop for a coffee, stop for a roast, maybe something very wholesome like that. Or doing that with friends as well, I feel has been really lovely. And actually, sauna and cold plunge with friends has been really nice as well, because you're kind of not on your phones and you just relax and you experience something together a little bit. So that's been really nice. I read an article a good couple of years ago now, and I think I reference it probably every week, but it was about making friends in your 40s. I'm 33, so I'm not yet, but I kind of took a lot from it. It was essentially talking about how when you reach your 40s or 30s, by that point have potentially school friends, uni friends, first job friends, current job friends, neighbours, family friends, family, kids friends. So you've just got all these different groups of people that you're trying to maintain relationships with. And a lot of the time that looks like meeting up for a coffee or a drink and chatting about what's going on in your lives, but you're not actually creating any memories together. It really hit me because I was like, this is so true. Like, I'm trying to make new friends because I've moved to a new place. A lot of that is trying to get to know people, but in that format, it is coffee or a drink, and you're not necessarily doing or experiencing anything. And then for your old friends, you talk about, do you remember when we were this age and we went out, got really drunk? But you don't really do that anymore. I've really tried with friends to do something so that you can kind of have that memory. I think it's important with family as well. But yeah, it's definitely like completely changed my mindset on what like adult friendships look like. So I always try to like prioritize going and doing something, which has been really nice.
Who do you imagine wearing Not Basics?
We get asked this question quite a lot. People will say, what's your target demographic? And I always say, well, we have an idea roughly that we're trying to target women who are kind of like 30 plus. But of course, there's nuances to that. And I always say that really not by basics is more of a mindset. The people that are consciously choosing our basics over a fast fashion equivalent, I feel like I kind of understand what their day might look like. I feel like maybe they're going for a coffee that's more of an aesthetic coffee shop where they know they're going to get a good coffee and that matters to them. And if they're going to spend the money on it, they want it to be good. They're maybe enjoying a stroll through the farmer's market to get the veg or something, enjoying a slower pace. I speak to customers all the time and they're all so different. Everyone has such multifaceted lives. So I think that's what we're always learning, like who the Not Basics customer is. But essentially, our product it's for every day and it's for so many different uses. We've got customers who wear them hiking and people who live full time in a van have that very outdoorsy life. And then we have people who exclusively wear our bodysuits to their very corporate job in the city. Huge differences in those lifestyles, but they're basics that can kind of fit into both. So yeah, I always stall a little bit when I answer that question.
What do you hope someone experiences when they put on a Not Basics piece?
Intense comfort.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That feeling like you're not really wearing anything. In an equal way, when you first put it on, it feels like a comforting hug. You know, I think that's it. And for them to feel not squashed in and like forced into a certain shape, but just comfortable in their own body. I think that's really important as well. A lot of basics these days are focused on altering the way that we look and kind of pulling our body into shapes, and that's not comfortable. I've shot with so many women now, all different shapes and sizes, all equally as beautiful. It's just such an empowering thing when you're on a shoot, when they get to see the photographs in the end and see themselves through what I see. I always think that's so beautiful, especially not really being a photographer myself, just like trying my hand at it. And a lot of women who aren't models, like signed to agencies, but are trying it for the first time as well. It's such a nerve-wracking thing. And I think I've definitely learned a lot about the way that we see our bodies through getting to do that. And it's a beautiful thing to see someone look at themselves and be like, that's me. Yeah, basics that can make you feel that, make you feel comfortable.
Looking ahead, what's your big vision for Not Basics and the future of fashion?
We want to make skin-friendly basics mainstream. We want to take on the space and we want to lead the clean fashion revolution, I guess. We've got really big goals. We're a small but mighty team and we're very much on the journey, I think, to doing it. So really excited about the future, very ambitious. Like I said, there's 60% plus of clothing, especially basics now, are polyester, nylon, plastic-based materials. And I think that there is a way that we can do it better. And we're really keen to push that. We have an anti-perfect promise on our website. So we always say, you know, we're not doing everything that we could do and we're not the best at everything, but we're trying to be better tomorrow than we are today. I think it's really understanding those inflection points of like when you switch something on in the business to do that thing better, really making skin-friendly fashion mainstream. That's the goal.
So a couple of quick questions. Coffee or your tea ritual? Which one are you?
If I'm at home, tea.
Tea. Lovely. Yeah. Which tea?
Yorkshire tea.
You're Yorkshire.
Yeah, because when you've lived in Yorkshire, there is no other tea.
It makes
There's no
sense.
other
Oh, there's
tea.
literally no other tea.
Well, there is other tea. but there's not other tea.
But there's not other
When you're
tea.
making a cup of tea, dark, no sugar, tiny bit of milk, and in a teapot as well. That's
Oh,
an
love
essential.
that. Yeah, that's good.
I can't make it in a mug.
With a
unfortunately.
cozy or?
I don't actually have a tea cozy, but that would be a great Christmas present.
Cute. Star sign, and do you believe in it?
Aries, yes.
Ah, Aries energy. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know loads about it, but I love people telling me about star signs. I love reading horoscopes. When I was at school, I actually wrote 2 different columns. I wrote the star signs, which I don't really know how I was able to do, but it was just a school magazine. And I also did a column called Ask Amanda, and I would also often write into myself. So it would be like, oh, I'm really nervous about walking into assembly if I'm late. Like, and I was like, that's me.
That's me. Yeah.
I would
That's how I felt.
be very nervous about doing that.
And then you answered yourself.
Yeah, I
What
would
was the
have to.
answer?
Well, it was maybe hide in the toilet. No, be confident. It's fine, and don't be late next time.
Yeah, the Aries energy is just confidence in doing your own thing, like pushing,
Really?
forging your way forward. Yeah, quite a lot of the Aries I know are like that, and it seems that's exactly what you're doing with Not Basics. So
Oh, that's so interesting.
aligned.
Yeah, thank you.
If Not Basics were a person at a house party, what would they be doing?
Honestly, I don't think they'd be at the house party.
No?
I think they would be at home chilling with their cup of tea. I thought about that one and I was just like, I don't know, I just can't. I don't know if I can see it, but I stand to be corrected for sure.
Not Basics in a sentence. She's the kind of girl who
Would prioritize comfort over everything.
which is why she wouldn't be at a house party, because they're not
so.
actually that comfortable, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's nice to go out every now and then. I think that sometimes I probably, like I said, lead with my introverted nature.
Okay, yeah.
So I like where you can really catch up and talk. I have a really quiet voice as well. So I know it's
that you
do you not?
yeah,
I really struggle. You know where it's loud and your voice starts to break and you're like, I actually am just going to cough through the night. So I always really struggle because no one can ever hear me, and I can tell when they're looking at me and they're like, I'm thinking
like,
you can't
hear a word.
My voice doesn't carry in a loud environment. But I know the brand isn't just about me, but I would be at the house party.
What's the weirdest DM you've received about Not Basics?
Not an Instagram DM, but on our chatbot, we've had people who have asked us if our underwear is appropriate for men. We'll have the conversation, and then it becomes quite clear when they send photos of them that it's maybe not a genuine question. That's always been funny to deal with because obviously we take every customer service inquiry very seriously. And then when you get sent men in their tight fitting underwear slightly inappropriately, it can be a bit of a shock on your Monday morning.
I can imagine those meetings with your sister, like, look what we've just had in.
Yeah, exactly.
How are we doing with this one today?
Exactly. We haven't actually had any in a while, but when we were predominantly underwear, we would get a lot more of that kind of thing on the chatbot. It's difficult. I think like running ads, you get a lot of people who ask fair questions, but just not in the nicest form of delivery, let's say. And that's the problem with social media is you get that notification whatever time it comes through, right? So you can see it just before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, and it can have the ability to ruin your day. And sometimes when people do it and then for whatever reason they've taken a bit of a dislike to you or the brand, then we've had that a little bit recently, and that comes with things doing well. I see founders that have that on a way bigger scale than anything we've experienced. You have to really learn to not get in your head about it and like switch off that part of your mind, because it does feel a bit unfair and it feels a bit unjust. And I think people are very quick to point out all the things that you're not doing and not recognizing the things that you are. So I always think that's a bit of a shame, because I can't say I could ever imagine doing it to someone on social. We all know social media can be a bit like that, but
keyboard warriors sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But typically we've always had a really good experience and we've got a lovely community. So it's just part of it sometimes.
What's something that people would be shocked to know about you?
My husband and I have a 22-year-old converted AA van. So it's like a camper van, basically. We go off camping on the weekends, and I have had friends say to me that they haven't thought that it'd be something that I would necessarily do. I love it. Happy to just be away in the van, just the two of us with a campfire, cook our own food over the barbecue at night. And I actually feel like I need very little amenities because you obviously can't take very much with you. And the last time I went, I think there was like 3 portaloos in this big field, and that was it. There was a bucket shower, there was a reservoir, and I absolutely adore it.
Just basic things happening out there.
Exactly. Just out in the elements. And I always think it's amazing because wake up for the little girl's room in the middle of the night and you're just in the middle of nowhere and the stars are incredible and things like that. It really helps me compartmentalize what I've dealt with sometimes in the week, because I'm just like, look, I love running my business, but you only get this once, you know? I really enjoy that, just going out and being in nature. I think people are often surprised that we don't have a dog. This is another, like, maybe Christmas present request. But yeah, we're outsidey, not outdoorsy.
Okay.
So not necessarily climbing mountains, but hills.
Well, Phil, Christmas present?
I know.
Little doggy?
I know what will happen.
Maybe.
He'll end up doing that one day and surprising me with a puppy, and I'll be like, oh, why would you do this? While lives are changing.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Just try to enjoy everything a bit more. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself to get there a million miles per hour, and just keep building the blocks. Stay true to yourself. It's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
I think that is a really good one.
It really is.
Because it can really feel like it is
really feel
in the moment. And I feel like I actually have got much better at that. I think there's been moments where I think I can be quite reactive. I can be quick to get maybe emotional about things. And I've definitely have felt much more settled this last year in the brand, even where when something goes wrong, my mind now just goes to finding a solution. And I realized, because my mum pointed out to me, but she was like, you enjoy problem solving so much, but then you get so upset by the problems. And I was like, that's so true.
Thanks,
like,
Mum.
Yeah, okay. I do enjoy that side. And when anything's a bit quiet, I probably am a bit like, I need a problem to solve.
I need something to do here.
Yeah. But it's fun. I feel like I'm at my best in that moment where I can react to something quickly and get things done. I always quite like that. But then I have struggled in the moments where it's felt quieter and it's felt slower and I felt impatient. So I think had I been a bit more patient, I could have maybe just enjoyed everything a bit more.
Finish this sentence. Not basics exists to
be anything but basic.
Wow. Yes. Well done. This was
Thank
great. I
you.
love talking to you and hearing about your brand.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Take care.